So it's been a week since I made my last video, my first video, and I wanted to make another style video of that for you guys. So today, I'm going to be talking about a very weird situation, a time that happened in high school that left not only me, but a lot of my friends absolutely shook. And it's quite a crazy story. So I'm just going to do it from my point of view. So here we go. So back in 2020, I had a bunch of friends that were really into Dungeons and Dragons. This friend, who I'm still friends with, he's a real good guy, lived right next to me, and he was like, "Hey Ethan, you want to try playing some Dungeons and Dragons?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, dude. I'll give Dungeons and Dragons a try." It seems pretty cool, nerdy, I guess, and it gave me something to do because it was 2020. This was the year of lockdowns, and not much was going on. So I joined in. I said, "Yeah, all right, cool. We'll do some Dungeons and Dragons." I didn't really know much about it. He was going to teach me how to play it. So, I was just like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Give me something else to do other than sitting in my fucking bedroom all the time playing, I don't know, Xbox Warzone, I think it was at the time. So basically, he gathered with a bunch of friends who he was playing at the local library with. And we went over to his house. We pretty much set up. We played Dungeons and Dragons. It was the people that we had there. All right, so it was me, him, and I'm pretty sure 2 other guys. And these 2 other guys are the guys in question that I'm going to be making this video about. So we'll give them names. So the first guy's name is going to be Jerome, I guess. And the second guy's name is going to be Maxwell. And so Maxwell, he was a bit strange. He was a bit of a strange guy. And I could tell that from the moment I met him. These guys went to my school. I went to our high school, by the way. But basically, like, the moment I met him, he was a little bit strange. He was a little bit something seemed off about him just from the beginning. Not so much the second guy at first. Now the second guy I had actually bullied in primary school. I kind of felt really, because I don't know if he remembered it, but I certainly did. And I had to write like an apology letter and have the principal sign off on it. So I kind of had that thought lingering in my mind. I don't know if he remembered it or not. So I was just like really nice to him, and this is gonna play a part in what I'm gonna talk about later. But basically, we'll talk about Jerome later. This is Maxwell we're talking about right now. Maxwell was the bigger problem. Well, not really the problem, but the bigger, like, what the fuck. So Maxwell, I had a class with Maxwell after this Dungeons and Dragons. We kind of became friends. We talked a little through Discord. There's like through the D&D group chat that we had. But basically, he was in my English class. I would always be like watching him because like people knew that I kind of associated him, and I didn't really want to be associated because he would literally read like fucking, what is it called? Like underage anime, hentai, fuck, I forget the name. Whatever it is, he was looking at like reading like porn comics of like underage fake anime women. Anime girls, I don't fucking know. But yeah, and he would literally be reading that in class. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I saw it out the corner of my eye because he would sit right near me, and I didn't really pull him up for it. I just went like, just ignore it. But Maxwell had the habit of talking back to teachers and acting like he was the smartest person on fucking planet Earth. Like he was smarter than fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson. And so basically, whenever a teacher would like say something, he'd be like, "Oh, actually, it's," and he'd always have to be giving his opinion, and that already made people hate him a lot, other than the many other layers of stuff and what he would eventually go on to do, but we'll get to that later. So basically, yeah, he made like a public enemy of himself at school. But yeah, this guy pretty much made himself into a loser, and he wasn't even like, he just kind of like came to our school out of nowhere. But basically, all the teachers sort of began to hate Maxwell too, and a lot of the students did. He didn't have many friends, except for us, the D&D group. Once he kind of started playing D&D, he started hanging out with us more in that friend group, and he would say some of the weirdest fucking shit. Like I can't even, like, I just remember he would talk about the most fucking weirdest shit, and he'd always be talking about sexual shit. It was fucking weird. We were trying to eat our lunch. But basically, like, we were, like, cool for a little while. Like, I talked to him on Discord, and, like, we kind of, like, were into similar things, as sad as that is. But, I always kind of was, like, a bit iffy of him because he was weird. I just got the weird vibes from him. But, this went on for a little while, and then one day, towards the end of 2020, I think it was, and this is where the story gets a bit fucking crazy. I'm going to try and skip a lot of the details, but basically he was caught for public indecency at our school, and I witnessed most of what had happened. him and another strange guy from our school who isn't a part of the story engaged in, like, they were literally fucking jacking each other off, dude. And they were caught on public cameras. And we had D&D after, like, it happened, like, after, like, the teachers caught him and, like, they were, like, reporting it and stuff, and we were, like, at the end of the day, we came back to, like, my friend's place, we were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I remember looking across the table and seeing how off he was just distraught, because he knew he was in shit. Sure enough, we're, like, halfway through D&D, and he gets a call from his mother, and his mom's like, you need to come home, immediately, like, right now, this isn't even a joke. So he up, and he left. Now, Jerome, because Jerome was also associated in this in a little bit, not as much. He starts like fucking breaking down. He's like in tears, crying, like he couldn't fathom it. It was just a shit show that whole evening. So we all go home. My dad picks me up and I'm in the car with him. It's very, like, I can tell when my dad, something's off. He's like really nice and sort of very enthusiastic about like, oh, so how was your day? And I'm like, So we get home and we pull into the driveway and he pulls the handbrake, turns off the car. He's like, so what the fuck happened today? And I'm like, I knew it. And I just explained to him, I said, look, like, you know, some crazy stuff went down with some people in the friend group. My dad's like, yeah, I know. I heard about it. Like the year level coordinator said it over the phone. Like, I know. And I'm like, yeah. He was like, you're very likely gonna have to do like a police statement at the least. Which I didn't want to do. I was like, oh god, like police, like this got serious. But yeah, sure enough, the whole thing kind of like blew over, but it was like all the talk. It was like when Logan Paul went into that forest. It was like the talk of the whole school for like a whole week or two, and then eventually blew over. But no one ever grew to like Maxwell ever again. No one ever grew to like him again after that. But that was just like the first thing that like tipped it off. We didn't associate with him anymore. We kicked him out of the D&D group after that, and we basically like disowned him. Now Jerome would later get his ass handed to him one time in my English class, and I witnessed the whole thing go down. There was this kid at our school who had cancer, and we did a fundraiser for him, which was really good. And I knew the guy who had cancer. He was my friend's cousin, and he is a really nice and sweet person. And like, you know, bless his heart, honestly. Like, you know, I'm so glad that we were able to raise funding for him to get better and get it treated. Like, he is such a nice person. But one time, I don't know how the conversation came to it during class, but he basically just made this very personal and stupid comment saying something along the lines of, we shouldn't be giving money or raising funding for this guy at school and instead be giving it to him because his family is poor and he is poor. Or to like, yeah, basically like he's like, oh, I should deserve that money. Like, you know, this guy who's suffering from cancer shouldn't have it. And this is what he said. He said, he's gonna die anyways. Why should we bother? And the whole classroom went silent after this. And we were just like I think everyone, even the teacher was just like, shut the fuck up. Like, literally. And after that, people already hated him for what happened like 2 months, 3 months prior, and he goes ahead and says that. It was like he was just asking to get his ass handed to him, and he did, dude. I remember the moment it was recess and we were out having our lunch, I look over, and all of a sudden, the biggest kid in the high school comes over, and this guy was an absolute fucking mad lad. He comes over, and he pushes him onto the ground and fucking curb stomps him. Literally, I watched it happen. His head hit the ground, Maxwell's head hit the ground, and this guy, his foot goes right into his head. Now, it didn't split his skull open or anything like that. He was just severely concussed, and he was like crying and in tears after that. But honestly, I think he fucking deserved it. Now, I'm a pretty chill, laid-back guy, but like, if you're gonna go around making snarky comments like that, you're just asking for it at that point. And kudos to the guy that did that, because, you know, he needs to be taught a fucking lesson. Like, I get free speech is a thing, but I think opinions should normally be held to yourself, unless it's like constructive criticism. Like, any criticism can be good, but that is just a snarky remark, and I think he deserved to have that happen to him. And then after that, he left high school. He basically dropped out of the school, or he transitioned to another school. And at this point, everyone in town heard about what he had done. So no one liked him. He had no friends. Well, I think he had like one, maybe two friends, but like his career was over. He even had a criminal record. I remember he wanted to go into something like criminology. Not happening, buddy. You have a criminal record of public indecency on your ass. But yeah, that was the story of Maxwell. Then there's Jerome. Now Jerome is a little bit more personal to me and was my own issue to deal with. So Jerome very quickly became sort of like attached to me. And it was fucking weird because I didn't really see him all that much as a friend, more just an associate that I happened to play D&D with after school. But he would just like hang around me like a bad smell. Every lunchtime, like I'd be sitting on my own, like wanting to chill out and have my lunch, and he'd come over to me and he'd be like, "Hey Ethan, do you want to hear about Warhammer 40k?" And like all the lore, and he'd just ramble on about like anything and everything about Warhammer and like all the other games that he liked. So I very quickly learned everything about Warhammer 40k without even ever wanting to know about Warhammer 40k or ever getting into it. I just knew about everything from the copious amount of recesses I had with him. But I think it kind of got to a weird point when he would just come up to me and like put his arm around me or like hug me, and just like a really prolonged hug. Like, you know, I don't really like being touched by my people in general, right? Like, there's very few people that I let touch me. Like, I can be quite reserved. But this was, like, too fucking much, dude. Like, he was putting his arm around me. He was constantly, like, holding me and stuff. And I was, like, trying to push him away, but it just never worked. And I'd be talking to my other friend. He'd be like, "Oh, that's just Jerome. He just does that." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't fucking like this." He's like, "Well, just tell him to stop." I'm like, "I have." I push him away. It doesn't fucking work. And like, it got to the point, dude, where I didn't want to fucking go to school anymore. Like, I would literally be like, "No, I don't want to go," just because of him. He would like, I remember one time we were waiting for class to start, and he comes over and he does the arm thing, but he puts his hand down my shirt and starts feeling up my chest. I'm like, "Dude, no." Like, I didn't even consent to this at all. Like, dude, no, not in public, not in front of like all these people, all my classmates and stuff. Mind you, he was in the year level lower, so it made it even fucking weirder. But this went on for a little bit longer. I remember like one time I was sitting at lunch and I sort of had like two friend groups. I had another friend group with my other best friend, and then there was like the D&D friend group who I'd hang out with the D&D friend group at recess, and I'd hang out with like my other friend and all of his other friends at lunch if he wasn't going to go to eat lunch at his grandmother's house. But I was like hanging out with him. We're chilling at the table, talking and stuff, and then Jerome comes over and I'm like, "Huh?" And he doesn't even sit like on the table. He just sort of like floats next to me, and he's like talking right in my fucking ear about like, "Oh, women should be in the kitchen," and all this stuff, like all this propaganda and random, like, I don't even know, like he was just yapping away in my ear, and I was just tuning him out because I was engaged in a different conversation. And then he puts his arm around me, and then my friend turns around and he like flicks the arm off. He's like, "Get off of him, buddy. Like, stay the fuck away. He doesn't like it." And he still didn't get the message after that. He was like, "Oh, okay," but he continued to yap in my ear. And, you know, the friend group wasn't even there. The D&D friend group was not there. Like, he just was hanging around me because, you know, we weren't even that good of friends. He wasn't even friends with the people there. But yeah, Jerome was a very strange person. And I kind of like, the reason why I put up with it so long is because at that time I bullied him in primary school, and it was just like guilt on me. But the day we finally cut it off, he was like nagging for my phone number, and I was like, "Dude, you don't need my phone number. Like, what do you need my number for? You have my Discord handle. Like, you know, you don't need that." And he would just keep asking for it, and he'd be like, he'd have his phone ready, but I made an excuse. Like, I was like, "I gotta go to the toilet. See ya." Like, run away to the toilet. But yeah, and then that night I was like, "Dude, this needs to end." Like, he's literally harassing me at this point, and I don't even want to be that much friends with this guy. So we called it off there. I think he had like a little tantrum after that, but then it ended just like that, ended. It was a bit awkward when we walked past him at school, and he did send me like a message like afterwards saying like, "Oh, like, what did I do to you?" and all this stuff, blah blah blah. Like, no, dude, nah, not happening. So that is the story of two strange people that I met in high school. I guess the takeaway is be careful who you hang around in high school. That can be the message, I guess. And if someone is harassing you and invading your personal bubble, speak up. It can be pretty hard, but even if you like speak around with your friends and stuff, it does work out, and it works. Like, you know, you just say, "No, stop." But yeah, don't let. Be careful with who you make friends with in high school or associate with, because those people might just be weird predators that have very opinionated, they'd be absolute idiots, or people that are wanting to harass you, I guess, to the point where you literally don't want to go to school anymore. Anyways, I'm gonna head to bed, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and peace, see you guys next time.